Hello, everybody. It's Gary Dennis, your favorite realtor slash veteran with Fathom Realty. This is going to be the start of what I call Real Talk. It's going to be my podcast that I use here in the studio to talk about real estate and things like that. Today's topic is just overall real estate. People are always wondering what's going on in real estate and what is the biggest thing. Okay. The biggest thing is houses. I mean, people have to, you got to get houses done. You got to buy and sell and build, and you got to keep the market healthy. And right now, there's more houses coming into the market from the builders and people willing to sell. But at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't want to get rid of that rate. And I understand that rate. That rate's a great rate. I got that rate. However, when I bought my house knowing that this is where we're going to raise our kids until we retire, and then we will figure out something. So I still have quite some time before I can hit that kids are out of the house retirement button, even though I am retired and I've taken on real estate full time as it's not a job. It's a calling. It's a hobby. It is life, because everything you do wraps around real estate. It's not just something you can turn off. Some people can turn it off between the hours of when they go to bed and when they wake up, and they can set time. But I'm always doing it. I'm always looking at something, and I'm always going in that route. In January, single family production in houses improved slightly. So that helped. And then you had a decline in multifamily construction, which is kind of seeing how things are going. You had the existing home sales rose 3% to the start of the year. Inventory of homes, I want to say it increased, but it's still a 3-month low. Back in January, and we're getting ready to get the numbers for February, and all that stuff goes into effect too. So when we get down to it, we can look at a few things, and the overall market of real estate to me is very, very healthy for the purpose of buying and selling. It's what's unhealthy is the amount of homes that we need. And it's not just people that need to live in single family or buy homes. It's also the multifamily homes that are needed out there, because there's a lot of people that need homes trying to move to areas that just don't have it. It's a great influx coming from north to south. The weather down here is a lot nicer, so that's no surprise there. So you get a lot of people coming to South Carolina, especially the Myrtle Beach area. We get a lot of people from New Jersey and coming down, and down in the Columbia area we're getting a lot more. And the Columbia area, you got Scout Motors coming up there, you got some other industry type businesses here, and getting some other things spun up here in the Midlands. So I imagine that will come naturally and become more and more available. And just last night or early this morning, they announced over in the Sandhills area in northeast Richland County, which is the northeast part of Columbia, they're looking at doing a 500 room or 500 complex apartments. And that's over there on the Sandhills, around the library type area, all that area that's just kind of flat. Nothing was rebuilt out there. That's where they're looking at doing that. And really and truly, some of that's what's needed, and some of it's probably not. There's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be a lot of push for it. Is it needed? Yes. Is it needed in that area? I think that's a loaded question. I think that will help revitalize some of the areas up there. If it's done correctly, but that's the whole thing. It's got to be done correctly. And I used to sit as a vice chair of the planning commission, and you always had to look at things like that. And now I'm not on the planning commission, so they're sitting back looking at how can this help that area if they rezone it for multifamily. And some people are going to, like I said, some people are going to be highly upset. Some aren't. You can't make everybody happy when it comes down to it. And the thing about zoning is, it's always hard to tell somebody what they can do with their land. You got somebody out there and the zone won't allow you to put up a barn where you can put 3 cars in it. It is disheartening when you work that hard, but that's what zoning is. It's what we got to live with, and just got to follow the law. So, I'm going to make sure these videos are trying to stay under 10 minutes a session. And, we're about halfway through. So, if you're looking in the market for the Columbia area, the Midlands, basically from, Lake Murray all the way over to Camden, up around the Winsboro area, and anything on the Grand Strand, from the North Carolina line all the way down to Murrells Inlet, I would be more than happy to help you out if you're looking to buy or sell. My number is 803-626-8214, and hopefully I can help you with your real estate needs in that avenue. Now, moving on, let's talk about some things that can happen. So, in February, the old groundhog didn't see his shadow or something like that, and now it is coming out to be that it's supposed to be an early spring. Well, that's a good thing, right? It's also a bad thing if we don't take care of our houses. So, I'm not perfect when it comes down to doing the house stuff. I'm just not perfect with it. I try to do everything I can do. I try to do everything I tell my clients to do. But sometimes I get wrapped up in everyday life and I forget to do it. So one of the biggest things I forget to do is touch up my trim. I try to do it every 2 to 3 years, and this year is the back side of the house where I touch up. Instead of me doing a whole thing where it's all the whole house the whole time, I do the front side one year, the back side the other year, and then just do some touch-ups in between. So it works out better instead of having a big project. It's broke down over time. It's great because you can't tell the difference of the paint from the front and the back because, you can only see the front when you're in the front. You can only see the back when you're in the back. And that allows us to do yard work and other things through there. But churching up and touching up your paint on the outside of the house, especially your trim, that's the areas that when we go to sell houses, I see rotted a lot. Eaves and overhangs and things like that. I see that rotted because nobody in 10, 20, even some of these new houses in 5 years, when they go to sell, nobody has taken the time to touch up the paint. Because you got to think, you're in South Carolina, in the wintertime, we get down to the teens for about a week and a half, and then in the summertime, the sun is baking and it's hot, and the humidity's there, and we get, bad rain, hail, thunderstorms, wind, and all that eats at paint. And then once it starts chipping away paint, that water allows it to get into the wood and soak it up. Even if it is treated wood, it's still going to happen over time. But if you keep a outside layer of paint on it, that even protects it even longer and can prevent it totally if you buy the thick paint and you put it on there every year. Now, keep in mind when you're doing that, scrape it down, sand it so that the paint sticks and it doesn't start peeling off after a few months like it did the first time because I forgot to do it. I thought I did, I didn't, and then I had to go back and redo my whole garage door again. That's just one of those things that you always learn about. The other thing is plants around your house. Okay, so recently I took all the plants out of my front yard, all the bushes, just cut them all down because they were getting big, and I noticed that the roots were starting to get up there, and I had some plumbing issues where something was going through one of my drains from the house, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with that. So took it down, all those bushes, and now it made the house look even better. We put down some fresh mulch and put up some edging, even though mulch is not one of my go-tos, but my wife doesn't like rocks, so we're going to go with mulch. And I just got to make sure you got your termite treatments down and things like that. Make sure you got a termite bond and whatnot. But got that going on and keeping that down, and it looked way better. It actually made the front of the house look a lot better. It really did with the red mulch, and we got a white house, red mulch, and now I got to go paint that picket fence that I've had natural the whole time. I'm going to paint that white too, and it's going to give us that look that my wife has wanted for a long time. That's the only thing missing was the painted picket fence. But what I was getting at is the plants that are really close to your house. We only left one. That was the rose bush. And I left that only because that's going over by the garage. But the other areas was too close to my pipes, my water supply and my drainage pipes. And I didn't like it. So Instead of me having another hefty bill to fix it, I decided to get rid of those. And granted, it was not easy, it was not fun, but I got rid of them. It looks 1,000 times better. And now that will allow us to do seasonal perennials, basically plants, flowers. And we can put down the seasonals, like the spring flowers that go out here probably in mid-March. I think that's going to be our last freeze here in Columbia around mid-March, I'm hoping. Hard freeze. And that's when we'll start putting plants out. And then, throughout the summer, we can change. As, the seasons change, we can go to summer flowers versus the spring, and then we can go to fall flowers. And then winter, we don't really put anything out because it's cold and I don't want to deal with it because it's cold. Besides our Christmas decorations that we do. So, I think that's a good thing. And I think that having this podcast is going to help highlight things like that, what you can do and whatnot to your house. And, it's not just going to be about that. It's going to be, we're going to talk trends and other things. We'll even talk mortgage rates and what the market's doing and crazy stuff that a lot of people just don't want to talk about. And, it's not that it's a bad thing that people don't want to talk about those things, but it's just people, they want to take the easy way and not look at them for the future. So that's why we can take the time, and here on this show we will do it and look it up. Now, I hopefully everybody enjoys these. If not, that's fine, but it's my way of getting some information out there versus just posting a post, and you can watch them. And hopefully my draw is to eventually get this where we can have other people on, where we can have loan officers or anything like that, and we can get them in and talk to it, insurance agents, business community members and things like that. But I want to grow it out of my office here and grow it and where we can do things in like different locations and things like that. So that's my ultimate goal with this. So anyway, I'm going to get off here, and it is Friday. So it's not casual Friday to me. It's Red Friday, which means remember everybody deployed, or everyone deployed, however you want to say it. Our service members are away from their families, and there's families that are also overseas in South Korea, England, Italy, all over the world with their military members. And while they're overseas, they're also deployed to another overseas location. So those family members are having a hard time getting done what needs to be done around the house because they're in another country, and B, their significant other is now deployed away from that area. So remember, everybody deployed is a great thing to do every Friday. I try to wear red. Sometimes you'll see me red in the morning, and then I will get something on me, or the dog will get something on me, and I'll swap out in the afternoon. But I always try to wear red. I always talk about it. I love my brothers and sisters in the military because I'm retired Air Force. I love to do anything that I can for them. And that's why also I've done so much in the political realm of real estate with housing and things like that, trying to get ideas out there, pushing it out to councilmen, congressmen, and just doing whatever I can do from the local level to the state level to the national level and getting it done. And now I'm no longer a planning commissioner, which that's a good thing. But, I've decided to run for school board to help our kids in the area. School board is very important to me. Schools are very important because safety of kids, and the fact that we are a huge military hub of kids. Parents get stationed at Shaw Air Force Base and Richland 2 School Board. A lot of times those families move up into the Richland 2 area, and we get them through here, and Kershaw County gets them, and Sumter gets them. But we also have Fort Jackson and Richland 2, so Richland 2 also splits families for Fort Jackson to Richland 1 and Richland 2, depending upon where they live. So that's why I decided to run for that, to help out the military families coming here, to have that mentality on the board, because the board doesn't have that mentality right now. I would be one of the only veterans on there. Actually, I would be the only veteran. And having that to look after our military communities and our local communities here, I think would be a great, great thing. So we'll just see how that goes. And that election comes up in November. And, this channel will not get political or anything like that, but just that's where I'm from. I just like people to know where I'm from and what's going on in the real estate world and whatnot. So that's all we got for this episode. So this is episode 1 of Real Talk with your host, Gary Dennis, with Fathom Realty. And after this, we're going to go into episode 2. It will be a 2-episode day. I wanted this one to stay in between, or right around 10 minutes, and we're hitting about 15. So we're going to stop here, and then episode 2 will be more in line with what the idea of this channel is going, and this is just the talk. This is the pilot that normally doesn't go as planned, because it did not go as planned as I had it laid out in here, but that's what we got, and that's what we'll do. Anyway, as always, in my real estate sign off, deuces, love you, mean it, and keep on rocking.